Hello and welcome back to A Quaint Life. If you don't already know me, I am Roxana. I post videos here on homemaking, simple living, lots of recipes, and really anything lifestyle related. If you love those sorts of topics, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as well if you do enjoy this video or any of the videos on this channel, because YouTube really loves that sort of thing. And if you've already subscribed, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so today we're gonna have a chat style video, and I'm gonna be talking about a topic that I think a lot of us struggle with. I know I certainly struggle with it on and off at different times, and I have some tips for you that may help. These have helped me, and I go back to them over and over again whenever I'm having that struggle moment where I wanna purchase something. I know it's hard to live with less, or what we perceive to be less, in a world that is so consumer based. The fact is we are being sold to every single day. We are bombarded with advertisements that try to make us feel like we're inadequate as we are, that we need the latest and greatest item available, that if we had this next best item that they have for sale, then suddenly our lives will be better. Essentially what this does is it keeps us stressed out, it keeps us in debt, working second jobs that we don't want to work, or it keeps us from living the life that we want to live. I know a lot of you watch my channel because you're trying to slow down, live something more simple, live a life that is more meaningful to you. Some of you are trying to stay home with your children and live off one income. And it's very hard to do when we have these excess shopping habits. I know for me, when I simplified my life, to me that meant more time with my daughter, more time to do the things that were important to me, such as taking care of my home, being here with her and raising her, and just living life together instead of continuously having to work long hours. And I had to look at myself and my spending habits, the budget that I created. You can create a budget, but you have to be able to stick with it. That's the key to the budget. And if you're spending excess amount of dollars on things that you don't even need, because we're in this chase cycle of spending, it could be very difficult to get to where you want to be. I did create a video on my personal story on how I budgeted for a simple life, and if that's something that you want to learn more about, you can go ahead and click here or here, wherever it comes up on your screen, and watch that video after this one, because that's where I get a little more personal with that. But here I want to talk about basically sticking to that budget, or being more content with having less. Okay, so the first tip I have for you is to be aware. Be aware that you are constantly being sold to. Everywhere you go, everything you watch, any podcast you're listening to, these are all ads, commercials. No matter how creative they are in their message, they are a commercial, okay? This is marketing to you to purchase different things. And if you're aware of this, if you have the mindset where I know I'm being sold to, and you become conscious of it, you're not so susceptible to falling for it. I am not a minimalist, but I do like to watch minimalist channels because they will put you in check. At least they do that for me. I love their facts. I love their concept. I can never be a minimalist myself. I have no intention of being one. But one in particular is Joshua Becker here, and I have a few quotes from him. The first one is, the typical person saw 5,000 advertisements yesterday that told them they needed to buy something new. When we think about that alone, then we start to put it into perspective on how much we are seeing the message of buy, buy, buy. It's part of our lifestyle, no matter where you're at. So if we're conscious of this, then we're not just going to fall for it every time we see something. We're going to keep our eye on the prize, so to speak, which is to stick to our budgets and to go after the lifestyle that we hope to have, which is a more comfortable one, right? A more relaxed one where we're not constantly feeling like we're in debt or stressed out or having to work. The next tip I have for you is to use things until they no longer work. This is something that our grandparents used to do. However, our grandparents didn't live in such a consumer-based world. Yes, they had advertisements back then, but they did not have them anywhere near in their face every single day, telling them they needed something new and also telling them how affordable this new item is. When they bought something, they used it until it absolutely didn't work anymore. And that can be very difficult to do, especially if we're on places like Instagram and we're seeing aesthetically pleasing spaces. I had this old toaster oven, okay? And this thing, it was ugly, all right? But it worked, okay? It worked like a charm. And I think it was like a Black & Decker or something like that, little cheap toaster oven. And my sisters would come into my house and tell me how I'm gonna burn my house down, and they would joke around about my toaster oven, even though it toasted perfectly, but in their mind, it needed to be replaced just because it was ugly. I'll tell you, it was ugly. It was sitting on my countertop, ugly. I didn't particularly like looking at it, but I was proud of myself for having used that thing like I did. I used that thing till the end of its life, and then I replaced it. And just the feeling of being responsible was even better than if I had replaced it earlier. And if you're in the cycle of spending to where you're buying every single desire that you have right now, it might seem a little crazy that you can actually feel better about being responsible, but I'm telling you, it really does. It feels really good to be responsible, to be smart with our money. And if you can get into a headspace where you're going to start using your items until they need to be replaced, as opposed to replacing them because maybe they're not aesthetically pleasing to you, or maybe they're not the newest and latest and greatest that's available. If you can get out of that headspace and get into the more responsible one and use things until they need to be replaced, I think you're going to find that it feels a lot better. Which brings me to appreciating what we have. Okay, this is not something that comes naturally to all of us, but it's the same thing with having like gratitude, right? You have to have that as a practice to feel grateful every day, to fill yourself with that thought and that feeling. It's the same thing. If you could start looking at the things in your home with the eyes of appreciation and see them for what they are conveniences. They make our life more comfortable. They make things a little bit better every day. Our coffee maker, our dishwasher, our toaster oven, all of the things that we have in our home that are, yes, easily replaceable, but yet they still work and they do this job for you every single day. If you can do that, it makes you less inclined to feel the need to go out and buy something new because you're appreciating something for what it is and what it does for your life. Number 4, being more resourceful. Okay, let me give you an example of this. If you want to decorate a room, let's say you want to redecorate. I like to move things around and redecorate from time to time, my room, a living room, a space, whatever. What I have began doing is shopping my house. I go to other rooms and I see things, or I try to pull things that will not be like leaving dead spaces if I took them. So if I have pictures in an area, or if I have a vase or two here, or a rug or something, I will take little pieces from other rooms and then try to use those items to redecorate or redefine a space in my home, as opposed to going online and clicking a couple buttons and buying something new. And what this has done for me is it fills the need that I have to redefine a space in my home, or that desire that I have that I want to make something new and fresh, right? Without having to spend the money to do so. If you think to yourself, oh, I need this item, or I want this item, really, right? It's not probably a need, but it's a want. If you think that you're gonna buy something, go around your home, look and see what you have already that could do the same job or do a similar job to what it is on the tool that you're trying to buy, or the thing that you want to fill a space, or whatever it is that you're wanting to buy. Go around your home, take a look and see what you have, and try to use something instead of going on and just quickly buying something. I got this one, I think probably from a minimalist channel, probably. And that was to ask myself before a purchase, ask myself the question, is this a want or a need? And I'm telling you, the second you ask that question to yourself, is this a want or a need? It sort of brings you back to the practical side of yourself, or the more responsible side of yourself. Whenever I ask myself this question, it almost instantly stops me from clicking the button to purchase the item that I'm looking at, because most of the time it's just a want. And when I consider this, it makes me no longer have that rush of wanting to purchase the item. Now I'm starting to click back into the practical side, the responsible side of my mind. And that's where we want to be with this whole thing, with having to shop all the time. You want to be in your responsible mindset and not the consumer mindset. So it's a great reminder and a great little tip to stop yourself from making these purchases. I hope you find these tips helpful in helping you to become more content with less and to stop the spending cycle that so many of us are on. I want to thank you for being here, and I'm going to leave you with yet another quote from Joshua Becker to help inspire you in your journey.
But nobody gets to the end of life wishing they had bought more things. Why is that? Because consumption never fully delivers on its promise of fulfillment or happiness. Instead, it stills our freedom and results only in an unquenchable desire for more. It brings us burden and regret. It distracts us from the very things that do bring us joy.